El Clásico needs Cristiano Ronaldo. Liverpool announced a new signing. Rashford's ready for the Manchester derby. We've got a transfer roundup and the Onefootball Power Rankings all coming up in the next few minutes. As I'm your host, Matt Frodick, you are the One Footballers, and this is the Daily News. First off, and to last night's El Clásico, which was anything but a classic. 0-0. Honestly, it was just one of the worst games I've seen in the last few years in that particular match. Yesterday's Daily News, I was so excited for it. I thought it was going to be goals, action, loads of good football on show. Absolutely nothing. This tells me that Clásico needs Cristiano Ronaldo. I'm not saying he's the best player to ever play a Clásico or that he's the best player in the world. That is up for debate. I just think he needs to be the protagonist. Something needs to happen. Someone needs to score. He needs to fire up the game, get someone sent off, boo, get booed from the crowd. Anything to happen. Last night was so unbelievably tame. I think if Ronaldo does that, then Messi reacts to it and he steps up his game as well. Things are just a little bit too easy and no one was really out to prove a point. I didn't quite get it. I thought from Barcelona's point of view, when Messi is quiet, the whole team is quiet. Valverde literally doesn't have a clue what he's doing, and Messi is sort of there to try and just create something out of nothing. That really goes to the front three. All three of them playing together doesn't really seem to be working too well. Yes, it can on pieces of individual brilliance, but tactically, I'm not so sure Barcelona are the same team moving forward from the midfield into the attack as a few years ago. From Real Madrid's side, they were just all over the shop. I thought Karim Benzema did well and worked extraordinarily hard, but he was just left alone. Gareth Bale's on the right-hand side was not the Gareth Bale we've seen over the last decade or so. On the left-hand side, Isco got the ball and that was about it, and Benzema, as I said, was up by himself. Whenever he dropped deep, there was no one going in beyond him. There was no attacking midfielder. Number 10, gonna go and get the goals for Real Madrid. All three midfielders are slightly defensive playmaking midfielders who just sat so deep they were nowhere near getting towards the attacking part of the opposition's box. And if that wasn't bad enough, both managers for the first time in a long time just didn't want to lose it. That's the feeling I got from watching the games. Both of them knew that if they lost, they would then be 3 points behind in the title race. They're obviously now still level on points on 36 each with one game to go before the Christmas break, and neither of them really wanted to take a massive hit to their reputation. For Valverde, defeat at home to Real Madrid probably could have been fatal for his career as manager. As for Zidane, probably a little bit less was expected. If you lose away at Barcelona, it's not so bad, but he still doesn't want that on his record. I really thought in the last 2 minutes was the only time there felt an energy and a buzz to the game. I may be completely wrong. You let me know your thoughts on El Clásico, but my God, it needed something last night. Moving on from that load of rubbish anyway, and to Liverpool have announced their first signing of the January transfer window. On the 1st of January, Minamino will join, the Japanese forward from RB Salzburg. Now, you already remember he played against them twice this season in the Champions League and even scored at Anfield in that fantastic 4-3 victory for Liverpool. What he's done over the last few years at Salzburg is really grow his reputation, especially in Japan and in the rest of Europe, but not so much in England. This one has got under the radar a little bit, so much so that his release clause was only 7.25 million. That is an absolute steal. If he's good enough to sign for Liverpool, he's 24, which is a really good age to be brought into the first team squad. He's got Champions League experience. How was no other team after him? Well, doesn't matter anyway. They weren't. Jurgen Klopp's got his man, and I can really see him forming a separate front three to the original front three that we always see at Liverpool. Salah, Mane, Firmino is the attacking threat. They always will be. They're unbelievably brilliant, world class. So behind them, now they've got Origi, Shaqiri, and Minamino. Looking pretty good for Liverpool, especially as they'll be fighting on three fronts come January. But next up, in a quick roundup of the Carabao Cup action last night, which sees a Manchester derby in the semi-final. Hopefully that'll be an interesting rivalry game, unlike El Clásico. Anyway, there'll be two of them in January as the semi-finals see Manchester United pitted against Manchester City after both of them won their Carabao Cup ties against lower league opposition last night. City saw off Oxford and Manchester United beat Colchester. But in the other semi-final, Aston Villa's reward for beating a young Liverpool side 5-0 on Tuesday night sees them play against Leicester, who managed to go through against Everton on penalties. So now on to a quick roundup of the rest of the day's daily news. And talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, whilst he wasn't in El Clásico last night, he was scoring an unbelievable header, jumping just like Michael Jordan used to as they beat Sampdoria 2-1 and took themselves to the top of Serie A. In that game, Gianluigi Buffon equaled the record of Paolo Maldini by appearing in 647 Serie A games. Unbelievable stuff from the veteran goalkeeper. Elsewhere, and Everton are looking to bring in Carlo Ancelotti, and the deal could be done as soon as next Monday. Arsenal are yet to agree a deal with Manchester City for compensation over bringing in Mikel Arteta as their new manager, and Hansi Flick, the interim manager at Bayern Munich, has refused to comment on the speculation linking Leroy Sané with the club yet again. So now, lastly but not least, we come to the Onefootball Power Rankings because it's Thursday. This is where we take a look at the top 5 leagues around Europe and a few others to determine who has been the best player over the last 5 games. Now remember, this incorporates their domestic league and the Champions League and Europa League. It does not include the cups. No Carabao Cup, no Club World Cup, no French League Cup, none of them. Firstly though, let's get into who's in at numbers 10 till 6. Throwing himself into number 10 is Julian Brandt at Dortmund. Jamie Vardy, the Premier League's top goal scorer, in at number 9. Timo Werner shoots himself into 8. James Maddison, Vardy's partner in crime, is in at number 7. And in at number 6 is Dimitri Payet, down from number 3 last week. So let's take a look at the top 5, and in that number 5 spot is Marco Reus. We've already mentioned Julian Brandt at number 10. Well, Marco Reus is the second of 3 Dortmund players on this list, which just shows how goal crazy they've been recently. Reus has been at the fulcrum of every single attack for Dortmund, and he's managed to grab himself 4 assists and a few goals to boot in the last 5 games. Into number 4, and he scored a goal, at least a goal, in each of his last 5 games, is Cristiano Ronaldo. We just mentioned the goal he scored last night against Sampdoria, and he's been on fine form recently, shooting himself into number 4. Number 3 though, and it's last week's number 1, so there will be a new person on top. It's Kylian Mbappe. He's doing what he normally does, which is knocking the ball away from himself a little bit, speeding past the defenders, and then smashing it into the back of the net. He's got 6 goals in his last 4 games, and he's just been unbelievable for Paris Saint-Germain as they've made it through to the knockout of the Champions League and extended their lead at the top of Ligue 1. So here we come to the top 2, where I set out a case for both before finally revealing who has taken the number 1 spot this week. First off, and there's Neymar. Incredible form, regardless of the opposition in the Champions League or Ligue 1. He's got goals and assists in most of his last few games and man of the match awards for fun. I know you don't really like to see Neymar doing anything successful because everyone seems to hate him off the field, but when he's doing that magic on the field, it's hard to ignore him. The other contender for the number 1 spot, Jadon Sancho. A goal and an assist in his last 4 games, and he seems to be adding to his value every damn game. It's unbelievable. At this point, by the time he gets to January, he'll be worth 200 million. Not that I'm sure any club's going to be paying that for the winger. However, I still think he is probably the best winger in the world at the moment. So there you have it, between Sancho and Neymar. Who will be taking the number 1 spot? It's Neymar. Cue the absolute hell in the comments. Let me know what you guys think down below of the power rankings, and of course today's daily news as well. Smash the like button whilst you're there, and you can click here or here to check out all of the other videos we've got going on Onefootball. But until next time, I will see you guys later.